Okay, so, you know how one cold winter night has you complaining? Central heating, insulated walls, a coat you bought in 5 minutes online. Now picture the Ice Age. Temperatures that could kill you in an hour. No insulated walls. No heater to crank up. No coat waiting online. Just you. A mammoth-sized predator somewhere out there. And a winter that could last for months. And somehow, humanity made it through. Not just survived, they engineered an entire survival system around it. A tiny needle that changed everything. Entire houses built out of mammoth bones. A fire that was never, ever allowed to go out. And one theory so strange, scientists still argue about it, that some ancient humans might have hibernated, like actual bears. In the next 20 minutes, we're covering all of it. The clothing, the shelters, the fire, the hunting strategy that fed entire communities, and the hibernation theory that's still hotly debated. Bundle up. Let's get into it. Let's talk clothing, because in this era, it wasn't a style choice. It was survival. Early on, clothing was just loose, draped hides. Basically a blanket with a knot. Not exactly built for sub-zero survival. But around 30,000 years ago, someone invented something small enough to hold in 2 fingers, and it might genuinely be one of the most important inventions in human history. The needle. Yes, the needle, because suddenly, clothes could be tailored, fitted, layered, actually sealed against the wind. Ice Age tailors picked different skins for different jobs. Reindeer, Arctic fox, even hair and bird skins. Layered from moisture-wicking underwear all the way up to waterproof outer parkas. That's basically modern mountaineering logic, thousands of years before the word thermal existed. And here's a detail people don't expect. The thread was even dyed different colors. Turquoise, pink, actual style choices. Fashion is apparently older than agriculture. But this wasn't just about looking good. The difference between draped hides and tailored clothing was genuinely the difference between life and death. No exaggeration. So you're dressed, you're insulated, but you still need somewhere to actually sleep. Quick myth bust. Ice Age humans mostly did not live deep inside caves. They used shallow rock overhangs instead, and draped animal hides right across the opening to block out the wind completely. Simple, effective. But in summer, when hunters followed herds onto open plains, they built something genuinely wild. Circular houses made entirely out of mammoth bones. Bones for the frame, hides and turf for insulation. Some of these are over 20,000 years old. That's genuinely early architectural engineering. And right at the center of every single one, a fire, heating, cooking, storytelling, all happening in one spot. And here's a genuinely strange theory. Some researchers think, during the absolute worst stretches, a few of these groups might have actually slept through most of it. We'll get into that one properly a bit later. But first, let's talk about that fire itself, because keeping it alive in sub-zero temperatures was nowhere near as simple as it sounds. Let's be clear about something. Fire wasn't a comfort item here. It was survival itself. It cooked tough, frozen meat and rendered fat for extra calories. It sterilized tools. It kept nighttime predators away from camp. It even dried out clothing soaked from snow. Basically, if it didn't touch fire, it didn't survive winter. But keeping fire alive in these temperatures was genuinely, constantly difficult. So dry fuel was stored carefully, indoors, well ahead of the worst storms. Flint and pyrite were used to spark new flames, and they were treated like treasured possessions. When groups moved camp, embers were carried with them, never allowed to die out completely. The flame itself became a communal lifeline, kept alive at absolutely all costs. So, you're dressed, you're sheltered, your fire's going. But none of that matters if you can't actually find food. During winter, food was brutally scarce. Plants were gone. Predators were bigger, hungrier, and more relentless than ever. So one group of hunters got genuinely clever about it. In eastern France, near a limestone tower called the Roche de Solidar, hunters lit fires every spring and fall to funnel entire migrating herds straight into that narrow valley. Once trapped in there, the herd could be hunted safely, up close. This exact hunting ground was used for tens of thousands of years. Same spot, same strategy, generation after generation. The meat from these hunts was dried and stockpiled, enough to last through both summer and the brutal winter ahead. And fat-rich foods specifically were the real prize. More calories per bite than anything else available. Your body burns through energy fast in extreme cold. And this whole system relied on teamwork. Some hunted the big, dangerous game. Others processed hides, gathered plants, and kept the camp running. Neither job worked without the other. It was a complete, coordinated survival system, and pretty much nobody survived an Ice Age winter completely alone. But there's still that strange theory we haven't gotten back to. The one about actual hibernation. Okay, here's the genuinely wild part of this whole story. In northern Spain, there's a site called Cima de los Huesos, literally, the pit of bones. Scientists found around 7,500 ancient human fossils there. And when they examined the bones closely, they found something strange: damage patterns linked to rickets, kidney disease, and other mineral and bone disorders. So what's the theory here? Some researchers think this damage matches what happens when a body attempts something like hibernation and just doesn't adapt to it well. We're not built like bears, after all. The theory suggests this may have been a desperate response to starvation during the most extreme glacial stretches. Now, important caveat here: this idea is still heavily debated among scientists. Plenty of researchers think there are other explanations entirely. It's a genuinely fascinating theory, not a settled fact. But here's what we do know for certain. These people used clothing, shelter, fire, and food strategy to make it through winters that should have wiped them out. So let's be honest about what we just covered. This is genuinely more impressive than people wore fur. They invented the needle and turned draped hides into fitted survival gear. They built entire homes out of mammoth bones. They kept fire alive through temperatures that could kill in an hour. They engineered a hunting strategy that fed entire communities for tens of thousands of years. And maybe, just maybe, some of them tried shutting their bodies down entirely. No weather forecast, no supply chain, just pure ingenuity, cooperation, and stubbornness. So next time you're complaining about one cold night, just remember what they went through instead. So that's the real story of how humans survived the deadliest winters on Earth, long before central heating ever existed. Tailored clothing, bone-built homes, a fire that never died, and a hunting strategy so good it lasted tens of thousands of years. Honestly, respect. If your brain just got a little bigger, go ahead and subscribe, because next time, we're cracking open another ancient survival mystery you were probably never taught in school.